Can you please share with us a little bit about yourself and your music background?
A little bit about myself. I am born in Seremban and raised in Johor since I was 8 years old, Geelong, Johor, until high school. My parents weren't exactly completely supportive of my decision to pursue music. What I did was kept trying to be proactive in what I do, take part in competitions, keep taking lessons to at least prove to them that I'm serious about doing this. And since they weren't completely sure if that's what I really wanted to do, I actually delayed my undergraduate studies. Actually, I didn't start my undergraduate studies until I was about 22 years old. Yeah, so I grew up not learning like a lot of pianos and everything. Actually, I started singing a little bit more seriously when I was 15 or 16 years old. Actually, that's when I started taking voice lessons from my choir director back in high school. And then after that, I went to quite a few places right after I graduated from high school. I sang for one of the chamber music ensemble class that Dr. Peng conducted. That's how I got to know him. You know, he asked me what I was doing, and so I said nothing, don't know what to do, but this is what I want to do. And he suggested that why don't you make a recording, and he can help me send it to his piano professor at West Virginia University, and the piano professor can. Lo and behold, I was offered a full scholarship, and that gave me a reason, actually a good reason to convince my parents. Actually, since I got a full scholarship, would you guys let me go to US at that time? So yeah, they decided to finally just let me go, and the rest is history. I spent 1 year in West Virginia and 9 years in New York City, and now I'm here with all you lovely people.
So, how long have you been working as a music educator?
I think the whole thing started when I was in choir, actually, in high school. So there was only one choir director, and she cannot do everything by herself. And then we got a lot of opportunities. Like for me, example, I got a lot of opportunities in teaching the tenor section. So it started there, and right after I graduated, I told you guys I didn't do anything right after I graduated. So I actually went back to my high school and worked as a substitute music teacher for close to a year. And on and off, even when I was studying, when I was doing my undergraduate or master's, I do teach lessons and everything. So 29, let's just say more than 10 years.
Yeah, okay. What inspired you to be a music educator?
Other music educators, my own teachers, all along the way of my own personal studies, actually my own personal vocal development. I am truly blessed and really fortunate that I get to meet a lot of very selfless teachers. Until today, none of the teachers actually ask for anything in return, and all they want to see that is I keep this passion going, and I keep hearing actually, especially from my teacher actually back in grad school, Arthur, who gave me so many free lessons in the summer. Until today, when I feel tired, when I feel weak, I think of them, and that gives me the strength to keep moving on.
So, in your perspective, what is the toughest aspect of teaching nowadays?
I think each generation is slightly different from the other, right? Like, perhaps I'm not that much older than you guys and everything like that, but I feel like a few generations has gone by actually. I feel like students get bored a little quicker, compared to when I went to school. Back in our days, actually, we really know how to memorize things actually. But these days, I feel like students are a little bit better in doing research, gathering information, rather than handed a piece of getting a piece of information and memorize it to death. And yeah, so that's probably the biggest challenge for me, is to align with the current probably align with the current generation, is what I should say.
How do you keep your vision and enthusiasm
my passion. To tell you the truth, actually, whatever passion I have, I still have. I owe it largely to the student. I don't consciously tell myself that I want to keep this passion for teaching and everything. But if there's a day when I feel like what I say to the students actually makes some sort of impact to them, actually, and that would be actually enough to keep me going already.
Would you mind sharing your teaching method?
I don't, but it really depends on, like let's say a group class setting would be very different from, let's say, private lessons. For me, the most important thing is to value the cost equally as the result. And that's what I keep striving to do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so in your opinion, which one do you think is more important in a student, attitude or achievements?
They're both important, but when you have the right attitude, the achievement will follow suit. So to me, if I really have to choose one between attitude and achievement, then I'll probably, again, cost and result, right? So probably I would pick attitude before anything.
So one of the most common problems among students is the lack of motivation. How do you keep your students motivated?
I try to get the students, usually what I would try to do is to get the students to see what I see and why I like so much about this, probably a particular piece of music. I feel like if they really know like why I like this piece of music, why do I appreciate this piece of music so much, it's different actually. It's different from engineering or architecture and everything like that. Since this is a lot, we talk a lot about, aside from the technical aspects, which is the non-creative part, and there is the creative part actually. And the creative part for us is very different from architecture with the design and everything. Actually, we ourselves actually are the driver of all these vehicles, of all these vehicles.
Do you have any advice for the aspiring or current younger music educator?
If I might say so myself, I think I'm considered one of the younger generations, okay, in terms of music educators as well, especially on a collegiate level. So I wouldn't dare to give advice to people probably around my age or someone who is more experienced than me. But to the students actually, my current students right now actually, nowadays, what I would really like to say is that no matter how good a performer you are, one day, okay, sooner or later, you end up teaching. My advice for these, for the students would be to take in as much information as you can. First, I had asked a few students of my own actually, I said, okay, so fine, you can sing and everything, great, but you don't pay attention to these details actually, and I want you to go home and think long and hard. If one day you become a teacher, what can you teach your students? And for the young educators, take in as much information as you can. If you cannot digest it, take it in first, let it sit, okay? Put it aside. You don't have to digest everything immediately, but do be open-minded and do learn how to agree to disagree and learn how to serve the music. Actually, we're not, of course, our ego and everything all takes apart. Nobody is perfect. I cannot tell you that I'm completely egoless. Then I will be, then I'm definitely lying. Okay, but do learn to agree to disagree. Serve the environment, serve the society, serve the music. First and foremost, serve the music. Okay. And of course, there will be times that things get really difficult, things get really political. All these will happen. But if you truly love this and you truly believe it, and you do things in a way that is righteous, then you don't have to apologize for anything.
We are done.
We're done?
Mr. Tan.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much.